What's going on, everybody? Appreciate everybody for tuning in here on YouTube Live. We are here for a live edition of the Beyond the Curtain Wrestling podcast, doing our AEW Dynamite recap show. Totally different than what we've used to do, but figured we got to give something a shot, see how it works before we know if it succeeds or not. So, just give us 1 second here. We're going to kind of get everything up and going on Twitter and Facebook, so that way we can get some other people here joining us tonight. And so give us just 1 second and we will get going. All right, so while we wait to get some more people on here, appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. I know that this is not exactly something we usually do, and so I appreciate everybody for tuning in and at a time before and after for watching this. So appreciate you guys. All right, so as we still try to get some more people into our live stream here, what was your take overall on the whole show tonight, sir? Or not tonight? This is a day after it happened. But what is your? Let's go on in a little bit. Let's get a little friendly. I know it's not 6 feet, but we'll be all right. What was your take on Dynamite last night?
It was a good show. Overall, like I've said this the past couple of episodes, AEW really knows how to build towards a pay-per-view. So I'm actually really excited. They're putting some storylines together for Full Gear. We'll get on some of the sloppier ones that they've sort of kind of touched on this episode, but most of the storylines are actually really good. I'm excited to see some of them, and it didn't let me down. It wasn't like too hyped up, and it didn't exceed expectations. It was a really good show though, and this that probably would have been recorded last night if I didn't fall asleep at 7:30 last night. So I had to watch it tonight and catch up before we recorded this show. But regardless, it was still a good show, and the only reason NXT got more supporters is because they had to Halloween Havoc their way to more viewers. So the numbers will change next week for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that are just tuning in, I am the host of the Beyond the Curtain Wrestling podcast. Cody, this is Buffalo James. He has usually joins me on these AEW recap shows. We both got NFL podcasts as well. That's where the Buffalo James thing comes into play. So appreciate you guys for tuning in a little bit later on the East Coast. Hope everybody is staying safe from Hurricane. Was it Zeta?
Zeta, yeah.
Zeta. Hopefully everybody stayed safe out there. Let me know if you guys can hear us okay. Like I said, totally different setup than what we're used to doing here. So If the volume's a little bit lower, a little bit higher, let me know. See if I can adjust that and get that going for you guys. So, also this is a Washington football team shirt, but it's funny. It says W. Oh, I gotta go the other way. WFT and then WTF. Because why? Anyway, so let's go ahead and get kick started here into how the show went down. As you guys can see on the bottom of your screen, we got a scroll there going on of giving you kind of the highlights of what happened on Dynamite. Not every single segment is on there, but just kind of the high points, any kind of matches, significant segments, all that good stuff. So we kicked off the show with an MJF promo, as well as Wardlow and Sammy Guevara. Wardlow went off to warm up on his match, and then MJF and Sammy kind of got into it. Sammy saying he really didn't want to be didn't want MJF in the inner circle, all this. So interesting how that all transpired. And then we get to Wardlow versus Hangman Page, which was the first match of the night, and it was a semifinal match to determine the advancement to the finals at Full Gear in the Eliminator Tournament for the World Championship. We haven't seen a whole lot of Wardlow on Dynamite. Every now and then, it seems like he's been mainly on Dark, but I'll tell you what, this is probably one of my more favorite matches of Wardlow. I thought he actually did a really good job in this match. Of course, Hangman Page does come up victorious, and he moves on to the finals, but I really thought this was a good match here. I thought that it was one that I was expecting a little bit more to be, I don't want to say a squash, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like Wardlow is either hit or miss for me, but I think he did a really good job here on this match. What did you think of this?
I thought this whole segment was really well executed, and it was the start of the show, and so I don't know. It's just some of those things where you start with action immediately from moment one of the show. You don't have to recap anything that happened last week. You just start immediately with fresh content, and they're throwing signs of a possible split with Wardlow and MJF. With MJF kind of in his promo, they're basically saying if Wardlow wins the tournament, MJF is world champion, because he is basically, Wardlow is contractually obliged to be part of MJF's crew. So if Wardlow's champion, MJF's champion, and you kind of saw a little bit of the Wardlow kind of maybe thinking about splitting, saying screw you MJF, this is my moment. And then the match itself was awesome. I thought it was better than it was going to be. I think we all kind of figured out how this match was going to end even before it even started. But yeah, it was a good match, and I thought Wardlow could have won. And Hangman has this underdog story again, but I do believe it's funny because this is now possibly the second chance for Hangman Page to kind of get his title opportunity. When AEW first kind of started, he fought Jericho for the title, and at that point, no one thought he was ready. He was championship material, but he's over. He is the face of the company, maybe outside of Cody Rhodes. But in terms of drawing power, I think Hangman Page is there now to where he could lead the company as the face of the brand, so to speak, as your champion. So it's crazy how just in a year how kind of his position has changed, where he kind of was the man, dropped to the mid card, and now he's back to possibly being that guy again. So it's cool to see this storyline kind of play to fruition over this year with Hangman. So I don't know. It was a great match. It wasn't like a technical masterpiece, something that you would watch to train a new up-and-coming wrestler, but it was a solid match to start the show and to continue the storyline down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. If you would have, the situation Heyman was in last year at All Out, being thrust into that spotlight as the face of AEW really against Jericho, I don't think he was ready for it. I don't think the fans wanted it at the moment. Boy, what a difference a year makes.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden is the most over guy, besides maybe Cody in the company. And I can definitely see big things, and this guy can definitely lead the company now in the right direction. His whole character has changed, but in a great way. Looking forward to that. Appreciate you guys, like I said, for tuning in. For those that are just joining us, giving our AEW recap there. Like I said, make sure the volume's good to go. Need to know if it's too low or too high. Give us your thoughts on what you thought about Dynamite on Dynamite, and as well as how we're doing, if we're sucking, if we're doing great. It may get a little bit PG, more towards an R-rated segment as we get more into the show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that hopefully here soon. Kind of skimming through a couple of these segments here. Eddie Kingston took on Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal's kind of been performing a little bit more on Dark here recently. Kingston as well. And, of course, Eddie gets a submission victory here. Lance Archer was with Jake Roberts in the crowd, kind of scoping out Eddie Kingston there. Interesting there. Wondering if Matt Sydal is more of a full-time guy in AEW. Not sure if he is. Kind of made it seem like he wasn't, but he's been appearing on AEW TV here recently in the past month and a half, ever since All Out. And kind of a prominent role, like I said, on Dark. Starting to get some opportunities on Dynamite, so I guess we'll see how that goes. We get to the Young Bucks, FTR, as well as with Tully Blanchard. They kind of have a sit-down interview at different locations with Excalibur leading the way. Quickly, the interview kind of turns because FTR kind of pointed out that Excalibur is kind of the Young Bucks boy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they all kind of grew up in the California area and PWG, so FTR kind of exposed that and utilized that to their advantage, which I thought was very clever. And then they just kind of left and said, we'll see you at Full Gear. Of course, they face off for the tag team titles at Full Gear just a week from Saturday. Interesting promos there. That match, I predicted that match would happen sometime this year. I was personally hoping AEW would draw that out a little bit because they really rushed the Archer Cody thing, and I thought that was a bad thing, and I hope that they would learn their lesson and that we can get to FTR and the Young Bucks a little bit later, build this story up, build it up to where people can really dive into it, get into it. I'm not sure if I predicted it. I have to go back and watch some of the old episodes of this podcast, but I feel like I said that the first time they would fight would probably be for the tag team titles. I think I said the Young Bucks would be the champion, so I may have gotten that mixed up. But they get the opportunity at Full Gear nonetheless. Then we get to the Town Hall meeting. Like I said, I know I'm kind of jumbling up these segments here, but I'm trying to get through to them so we can get to the thing that's just going to set this podcast on fire. Town Hall meeting. I love the fact they use it as a debate forum, kind of what the two presidential candidates for this year went through in their retrospective Town Hall meetings. I thought it was fun. It was a good idea. It didn't knock it out of the park. It kind of, especially with the segments MJF and Jericho had, especially last week with the whole steak dinner thing. You have them as a much higher standard to excel and knock every segment that they do out of the park. I don't think they did that here. I thought they were a little bit too conservative as far as maybe the ideas thrown around of what to say and how to build it up a little bit more. Cool that they had some of the wrestlers do the questions with the Luchasaurus, and then Britt Baker and Reba portraying the chick from the Trump rally who was showcasing his smile. That was pretty cool. And then Eric Bischoff with the appearance. That was fun. At the end, we get to where Jericho offers a chance for MJF to be in the Inner Circle, and that's by having them face off against each other at Full Gear. If MJF wins, he's in the Inner Circle. If he doesn't, he's just not in it. I've got my ideas on that match. I've got 3 options that could happen in that match. I'm not going to try to steal your thunder, so I'll let you kind of bring us up to speed on your perspective of everything, and then if you want to share what your ideas on that match will be, go ahead. I may stop you if we're on the same page.
where do we start here? The Eddie Kingston Seidel match. I think it was a quick tune-up match. Got his job done for Eddie Kingston to kind of look like a dominant heel. Um, I'm digging Eddie Kingston's character, and I'm actually kind of excited for the championship match. When this first was announced that Kingston was fighting at this pay-per-view, I was kind of iffy. Like, are they really gonna put Eddie Kingston in the main title picture? He kind of just like jumped out of nowhere, but he can talk his magic, and there's a little bit of history between him and Mox, so I'm cool with it. I'm down with it. And then we get to the Young Bucks FTR segment, and I liked the segment up until the Young Bucks basically turned into Cody at, what was it? Was it Full Gear or Revolution? I can't remember which pay per view it was. But he said I think it was Full Gear last year.
It was literally the same exact pay per view from last year.
Full Gear last year, where he said if he lost to Jericho, he would never fight for the titles again. And the Young Bucks are doing the same thing. Yeah, because we were there at that Charlotte show when he announced it.
Yeah, actually, tomorrow the 6th,
Mhm.
or not tomorrow, the night before Full Gear, the 6th, next Friday, would be the 1 year anniversary of that
Right.
Charlotte show. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that story because it's like you limit yourself, and I don't think you need to replicate that storyline. I think this time though, they'll do the opposite ending. I think they won't have the same storyline happen the same way twice. So in my opinion, I see the Young Bucks winning that match, and then we'll probably get the rematch at Revolution or whatever they want to. They might name it.
Or Dynamite, who knows?
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of the stipulation for that match, but I am a fan of the stipulation of the Inner Circle, the Jericho MJF match, because I think this is the perfect way. Like, if you can beat the leader, you win your way in, and I think so. I think either this match is clean and one goes over the other, and probably with MJF going over Jericho, or I have two other screwy finishes. Either Sammy and Lion Dude, I can't remember his name, off the guy that just, he likes to stick his tongue out. Ortiz. Either they interfere somehow in that match, or MJF has his buddy turn on him, and Wardlow joins the Inner Circle.
That's not one idea I had. Interesting.
So that would be my option, because I think the problem the Inner Circle has now is Hager is not. He's not like there all the time. Like he had his fight tonight, and he's pursuing Bellator as well as AEW. I feel like if you had a guy like Wardlow to join him as well, maybe you have two powerhouses and Wardlow and MJF. That would be a great feud to see just in and of itself. I agree with you though. Going backwards, I totally skipped over the tag team feud. I would have pushed this out another pay-per-view. I think you could have built this story between FTR and the Young Bucks another pay-per-view, and just get real raw, intense moments on months worth of Dynamite leading up to a big conclusion. And I'm just not a big fan of these big moments, these big matches that everybody wants to see happening on like subpar pay-per-views or not as important big moment pay-per-views. Especially with it not even being the main event. Like, if it was the main event, I could see it main eventing Full Gear and being a big match, but it's not the main event picture. So I'm not a big fan of it being on Full Gear. I'm not even really a big fan of it being on Revolution. I would have waited till either Double or Nothing or All Out. but you can't really push this storyline out a year. So
You could.
I mean, you could.
It don't really work in this kind of day and age, but
Yeah.
it could.
But regardless, it'll be a good match, and the Jericho and MJF match, regardless of how that finish turns out, I could be completely wrong in everything I said there, and it'll still be a good match. So
Yeah, like I said, that was not the kind of prediction I had for that match. My predictions for that match, and the reason why I'm saying here now and not the Full Gear prediction show is because I wanted to get it out before I forget it. I got a couple theories that could happen. One, MJF has his own cronies, and they're trying to form a super group, but MJF is playing off the I want to join a group thing, and secretly MJF already has a group with him, and they attack the Inner Circle, causing MJF to win and take over the Inner Circle. Kind of weird when I say that, just because I'm like, well, if he has his own group, why would he need the Inner Circle? Anyways, B, Jericho, his whole crew needs to just hate him and try to beat him up, and Jericho wins. C, MJF secretly buys out the Inner Circle. Money talks. And you got plenty of it. So maybe behind the scenes he's been secretly making some deals with the Inner Circle, saying, listen, I got more money than Jericho. How? I don't know, but I do. Let me buy you out, essentially. And, we want to take over the company. When's the last time Jericho let you guys have that, a tag team title shot? Why haven't you guys had a TNT title shot? Well, ever since Jericho lost the world title, you guys haven't done anything championship-wise. I want to be the gold king around here. I want to take every belt in this company, and that could intrigue every member of the Inner Circle. And he basically buys him out, and the Inner Circle turn on Jericho, and MJF becomes a new member of the Inner Circle. Just some theories. There's some theories.
Yeah, we're not any experts. We don't have inside sources. These are just theories.
Exactly.
So don't take them for fact. These are just theories. Now, speaking of theories, something just popped up in my head about when you said MJF brought a group.
Mm-hmm. I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I think you might. What if we see Tully Blanchard and FTR,
Shawn Spears. They form that super group.
And we've seen kind of hints.
It's true.
That Cody Rhodes is turning heel. What if he says, you know what, you are the protege, and I'll work with you again, MJF. And they take over the Inner Circle, and they destroy him from... Just a theory.
What's the famous phrase? Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I like that thought. We'll move on from that. So some thoughts, keep it in your brain. Put that into the file cabinet for later, especially when Full Gear comes up.
And none of them happens.
Probably none of them will happen. But hey, there's some interesting theories, that's for sure. Taz has his promo with Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. Kind of feuding with Archer a little bit. They're kind of feuding with Will Hobbs and this whole thing with Darby Allin involved. Just a mix, kind of a mess of a storyline there.
Just a montage of 8 storylines thrown into one.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I just don't like AEW's build of this pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed too quickly, too all over the placey. Some of these matches don't make sense. We'll get to that in a second.
Well, to me, it feels like outside of the main 2 or 3 matches, they just kind of oh, well, Taz and Starks and Cage needs a match. Well, let's just throw them in with 2 people that don't have a segment right now. And it's kind of it's the best and the worst of Vince Russo thrown together into one better produced mess.
Pretty
And
much.
it may work, it may not, but it doesn't make sense to me.
I know.
It's just
I agree. I agree. We get Orange Cassidy versus Cody for the TNT title match. The winner of this will face Darby Allin at Full Gear for the title. Cody wins after a little bit of an interesting way of doing so. There's a lumberjack match, of course. If you've ever seen a lumberjack match, you know where this is going. They all fight each other, it causes a distraction, and then usually the heel kind of ends up with the with a victory. But is Cody really a heel? Well, I don't know if he's kind of a tweener.
yeah.
But Arn Anderson slipped him a little something something, and actually Arn was one who hit Orange Cassidy, and then Cody pinned for the win and retains. So we'll get Cody versus Allen at Full Gear for the TNT title. Miro and Kip Sabian, they have their little backstage fight with.
No, sorry. Yeah. In case you can't see it. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Join the Dark Order.
It's ridiculous. Anyways, they're not on the show really, besides the Lumberjacks, so I guess you had to get it in there. Best friends, yeah, Kip Sabian and Miro have the little backstage fight. Penelope Ford's dressed up as Orange Cassidy. Miro and Kip beat the living hell out of them. They open up a present of the, I guess it's either fixed or new motherboard type thing for the gaming thing. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Like I said, it's the best and the worst of
You're starting to make sense here. I don't like it.
Vincent Russo.
I don't like it, but you're making sense. But then
Oh wait! Before we get heated, let me say something real quick.
you're bottling this thing up. It's ready to explode. Come on.
So, I don't like this best friend feud at all. It makes no sense. Who fights over a video game?
Miro.
I mean, no, it's just one of the things where I feel like, oh, let's just make fun of WWE a little bit. Oh, they're taking over everybody's Twitch account. Let's just plug our Twitch accounts real quick, and then make a stupid feud with it. Like, I don't know. It just...
I get it.
It's like, I mean, I like the dig WWE, but like...
That's all it is.
It's just a dig, and you shouldn't make a feud out of that. It's just
No.
do it one time. Like, I was okay with them doing it once or twice with Brody Lee, because I didn't make a whole feud out of that.
No, there's just subtle things here.
Yeah, they're making a feud out of a dig, and it's just really poorly executed.
Agreed. But
Speaking of poorly executed, I'll let you start this.
okay, how do I say this without offending everybody in the world? All right. I know there's a ticker here at the bottom. I get that. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to it, the ones that are watching right now. I don't know if you've been paying attention to it. You just rewatched Dynamite, so I mean, you know what's going on, what happened. So apparently on Tuesday night, NWA had a pay-per-view, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a women's match, right?
Yep.
Who was it between?
Thunder Rosa,
Okay.
the NWA champion.
Yep.
And she was putting her title on the line.
Yep.
Against ex-WWE trainer
Mm-hmm.
Serena Deeb.
Okay. Now, what promotion was that for?
NWA.
Okay. Was there any? I mean, I didn't watch it. I don't think you did either. But usually social media is a great tool to catch up on things. Did you remember seeing anything as far as? Hey, there it is, right there. Right. This is where we're going, guys. Was there any AEW talent in the crowd? Made an appearance?
As far as I don't know.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so Serena Deeb defended her NWA Women's World Championship, the newly crowned one, against, what was her name? Layla Hirsch.
Yeah, Hirsch. So, first off, Thunder Rosa's picture was still on the title.
She had to apparently get on the jet and fly straight to Jacksonville. Couldn't do it in time. I get the fact that we had an injury in the taping to Abaddon. Totally get it. Probably don't want to show it. WCW showed it whenever Rick Steiner or Buff Bagwell got his neck broken. What am I to know? WWE had Owen Hart almost on camera doing that. Anyways, hey, the Falcons won. Baby, come on now. Tank for Trevor. Trevor, get well. I know you got COVID. Get well, son. Get rested. We got Notre Dame next week. Please come back. Anyways, so getting back to this. So I get that there was an injury. You wanted to replace it. Totally get it. I'm pretty sure we've got plenty of women on the roster that you could replace anybody with that match. And I mean AEW, like AEW talent,
like signed,
like contracted talent. I'm just saying. Okay, so check this out. So we put the NWA Women's World Champion on the AEW show, right? We've done it before. Thunder Rosa was on there. It was a good exposure. It was fine. It was fun. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you will, because you're that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Is there... Now, I mean, once again, there's a picture of it right here in the middle of the screen. Is there a pay-per-view coming up?
Yeah, there really is. Yeah, next
An
week.
AEW pay-per-view.
Next week.
When's the date?
The 7th?
So we're like 9 days away from the pay-per-view? From right now. Yeah. 10 from yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. Before this match, before all this,
yeah,
we've already got some matches announced for Full Gear, right?
Some of them,
right?
None of the women were.
I was gonna say, is there a women's title match on the card at this moment in time in the show of that we're talking about on Dynamite?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
wait a minute.
But they announced one.
They did, but it was after this match.
Yes, but before we get to that,
but this match,
this NWA title match,
it was an NWA women's title match.
So,
why?
Layla Hirsch. She was 0-1 in her AEW career.
Yeah, she wrestled on the previous night on Dark
and lost.
Yeah.
To NA AEW women's title match.
Yeah, so
and then somehow
let me just ask the obvious here. Why the fuck?
Oh, here we go. He's going to start cussing. Hey, we got some Jello shots down in the fridge.
I'm already upstairs. I ain't going back downstairs to get those unless you want to deliver them some up here. Why the hell is there an NWA Women's World Title match on an AEW show 10 days from a pay-per-view? Why, out of 15 matches on Dark, were there 3 women's matches?
Oh, you pissed off having just watched 15 matches on Dark.
Why don't we give a damn about the women's division? For weeks now, we have let our voices be heard on the frustration of the women's division. And I get we're 2 lowly dudes from North Carolina. Nobody's going to listen to us. Nobody's going to pay attention to us. We ain't got no stakes in the company. We don't own the company. We ain't got no money. But damn it, why? Why can't we put Britt Baker versus Rebel? Britt Baker versus Red Velvet versus Layla Hirsch. Penelope Ford. Why did we have to go to get an NWA Women's World Champion defend that title on an AEW show? Serena D won, in case you guys just were wondering. I mean, it's right down there literally again. We've now gone through this whole cycle just to get back to this topic.
But let me stop you here real quick. Let you get some of that protein and calm down a minute here. Despite the fact that it's 10 days prior to a pay-per-view and we have like literally tons of women. I mean, shit, you could put Brandy in the ring.
Listen, I get that Chris Statlander's injury is still significant. She can be back for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I get Shanna's still over across the sea. I know they released a couple people that were across the sea. Britt Priestley's no longer on the roster. I don't believe Jamie Hayter is. Or if she is, of course, she's still overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Shazza McKenzie, I believe she got released from her contract.
Mm-hmm. So
Riho's still overseas. But
I'm gonna say just real quick before we dive deeper into this. It was an excellent match. We got to give it credit. They put on a pretty good match.
they put on a good match. I'm not going to deny that. That was a very good match.
Very good match.
But would you rather have an NWA Women's Champion show up your AEW girls?
No. I think we have enough talent to put on multiple, not just one, but multiple women's matches every show. And this is one thing. I'm not the biggest WWE fan, but we watched the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view this past Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And that Bayley versus Sasha Banks match was, in my opinion, the match of the card, a match of the night. They put a lot of stakes. Granted, it's taken them 50 to 60 years to put a lot of, property into their women's division. But they have the women's division that everybody wants to be a part of because they get big matches like this and the build-up. And that's why there's rumors that Thunder Rosa is going to WWE and Tessa Blanchard may be going to WWE, not AEW. Because, let's just be honest, I am an AEW fan through and through. I will ride or die with AEW. But the women's division is absolute trash.
Yeah, listen.
Not talent wise, but just the
overall handling.
The overall
handling, yeah.
ability to put. You get one or two matches every week.
No. It's not one or two matches. It's one or two segments.
Yeah, you
don't get shit from this company in the women's division. I don't get it.
And then, that didn't necessarily upset me as much as maybe it upset you. The thing that upset me was what happened after the match.
Yeah. So
where
boy, you tried to pipe me down, and now I'm going to get caught up again because that's the second thing that pissed me off.
I'll introduce the segment here, and then I'll let you express your frustrations. So the match ends, and we finally get to see our champion, our women's champion.
I'll let you set the scene, but so from my perspective, let me show you what. Let me direct your attention to how I was feeling. So match ends. I'm already pissed off at the fact of what the hell is the AEW Women's Champion? Are we even going to have a women's title match on the card for Full Gear? We probably shouldn't because there ain't no damn storyline to even go off of. Why even have one? And where's she at? Why is there no AEW women on the show? This is bullshit.
Yeah.
And
then we finally after like 3 weeks of not seeing our champion, which is just kind of crazy for as good as AEW builds up their pay-per-view, 3 weeks without seeing your champion, and we get a promo from Hikaru Shida announcing that she's going to defend the apparent number one contender.
Which she's not.
Which,
according to the rankings. Maybe according to the rankings she is. I don't know. I haven't paid attention to that damn thing.
The women's division has been so bad, I don't even think the rankings have changed in the past 2 or 3 months.
I probably not.
She's fighting Nyla Rose at Full Gear in a match that has literally no build-up.
If you could see the look on my face during that 15 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it was, you probably could have picked my jaw off the floor and then, you'd have to probably get a bunch of silly string to put it back into place because it was so far in the damn ground. It probably caused a hole through the floor. You mean to tell me that we ain't going to have no number one contenders match on Dynamite, on Dark? We're not going to have any build to this damn thing. But basically a return from a pay-per-view in May.
And it's apparently she won the number one contendership like the night she signed Vicky Guerrero to be her talker. That's how they made it seem, and this is just what frustrates me. There's no storyline behind it, and as much as I love Hikaru Shida, and I'm kind of okay with the in-ring work of Nyla Rose, we've seen this match before. We've seen Shida beat Rose. Britt Baker's healthy. She's a good heel. Why isn't she getting an opportunity? Big Swole is healthy. Why isn't she getting her opportunity?
Anna Jay.
Anna Jay.
That is your dark horse.
Mm-hmm.
That is your homegrown talent.
And then
Right there. She went from being this... Okay, yeah, I had to mention it. I'm sorry. This chick that had a top hat and was like the star of the show, kind of like the Greatest Showman type thing, to becoming the first and only woman
woman
in the Dark Order. And
yeah, it's just
is a prominent figure in the Dark Order. She's winning her matches. She's a legitimized heel. She's a legitimized character. Why isn't she getting a title shot? I just don't understand the thinking of this at all.
And then even Tanara Conti, she is a tweener. I don't know if she's fully committed to she's best friends with Anna Jay. Why Nyla Rose? This is like the third pay-per-view now in a row that she has a title opportunity. And I get I think they're trying to save this star of the big moment for when like Statlander can come back. But that could be months, and you can't build this division.
That's one chick, though.
Right? You can't build this division around a person that may not come back for months. That's how you get behind in your development of a division. There's just so many good female wrestlers in this company, and then like not even with the title opportunity, we had Anna Jay like almost kill Brandy a couple like a month or so ago on Dynamite, and like they never expanded on that. Are they fighting on Full Gear? I don't even know.
They're still feuding a little bit because Brandy was on commentary on Dark, and Anna Jay had a match, and apparently Brandy had her little TV show thing, cooking show
with John
Silver, and apparently Anna Jay came in and she was like, "You come to my house, don't come to my house."
Yeah.
Okay, so there's still some beef there.
So why couldn't they be?
Listen, I don't know who I need to talk to. Brandy Rhodes, if she's in charge of this women's division, she's doing a horrible job at it. If Kenny Omega is in charge of this women's division, you're doing a horrible job at it. Tony Khan, doing a horrible job. I don't care if there's one person or 3 people or 4 people or 5 people to blame. You're doing a terrible job with this women's division. You got to fix it. Mm-hmm. That's why I started the hashtag a couple days ago. Hashtag give AEW women's division a chance. That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Just take it, girls, what you have. The Heels program, that's a great thing. Great initiative to give women, female fans into it. How are you going to get female fans if you're not even showcasing the damn women on the show?
Right.
You can't. Fans in general. Women fans, male fans. You're not going to get fans in general if you're just not promoting it. When Paige was injured in WWE, I know we're transitioning a little bit. When Paige was injured, did WWE still kind of go on? Mm-hmm. Yes, they sure as hell did. When AJ Lee retired, did the women's division go on?
Yeah.
The damn right it did.
Well, hell, even now, Becky Lynch got pregnant.
Becky Lynch.
And they're...
Charlotte's out.
Charlotte's out. They are using, and as much as the matches may not have been top class, you got Asuka versus Lana for the title, but you're using the women that you have. You're giving, for the majority, with the exception of a couple women, an opportunity to put their talent out there. You see, for the majority of the time on SmackDown, you get Bayley versus Sasha, or Bayley versus Asuka, or Bayley versus some NXT talent that's getting an opportunity, which is great. And that's the thing, is even NXT uses they've had a couple, I believe, injuries in their division with Tegan Knox, Dakota Kai, I think, went with some sort of injury. They're able to mold around the circumstances. And no one predicted that Statlander was going to tear her ACL. No one predicted COVID was going to lock up half your division overseas. But you have to be flexible. If you're going to run a show, you're going to have to use the talent that you have. And they're so good at bringing in male independent talent from Florida or, PWX in Charlotte or any other local promotion. You got these women talent that you can use and maybe give them a 3-month contract until Statlander can come back. And then when you can build your division back up again. It's like last priority, it seems like.
Let's quickly run through the roster on the women's side that we can think of. We don't have the sheet of paper. We don't have the full roster up in front of us. Off the top of your head, that you've seen on Dynamite in the past month or so, let's just go ahead and talk about them. Sheeta, Nyla Rose, Tay Conti,
Anna
Jay, Big Swole,
Brandy,
Britt,
and
Brandy. Yep, Reba, if you want to include her, not really, but I understand that. Red Velvet. You've got Savannah Evans that made her debut. Skylar Moore.
Layla Hirsch, obviously.
Layla Hirsch, exactly. That's enough people that you can build something.
Some storyline around.
Something.
Right, and it seems like they're building a lot of, a lot around the TNT title, even with Cody going, as someone should say, like the most important title of 2020, which I don't know if that claim can be considered like
legitimate,
a legit claim. And then you building a lot around who's the number one contender for your world title and your tag title, that you kind of forget, hey, you have this women's title that, let's just show it a little bit of attention.
It just seems like they find new ways to make it an afterthought. Like, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do that. Oh, wait, we forgot about it. Oh, wait, there's another title. Just throw that match together, it'll be fine.
Right.
Like, come on, man. I don't understand. I just don't understand why it is the way it is. It's got to be fixed, man. It's got to be fixed. I'm so frustrated with this women's division because I know it's got so much potential. And I know that's the AEW, that's the weakest point in AEW. It has been since day one.
Yep.
And all we want is for that women's division to grow and get better. The tag team division is the best in pro wrestling. The mid-card, secondary title division, however you want to call it, very good.
Right.
There's plenty enough people on that roster that can make a tag team title run, a TNT title run, a world title run.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't just forget about the women's division, especially with this whole Give Divas a Chance thing and the Women's Evolution came around.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that'd be one of your biggest contributions right there is, okay, how can we follow up that? How can we make sure we match that? We put the women on the forefront. And at times, the women's division shined. At times, this division was like, oh, man, this is going to get good. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Put on great matches. But one or two great matches here and there does not solidify a women's division.
Right.
You have to have consistency with this thing. And I'm not saying WWE. I haven't watched WWE consistently in about a year and a half, so I really don't know how the women's division is consistently. Guarantee it's better than AEW's.
Yeah.
So,
and then we've talked quite a bit on the women's division. We've probably talked longer than the segment was.
No, we talked much longer than the segment on Dark and Dynamite put together past 2 weeks. That I'm sure.
But just one more example before we move on, because we still have one more match to talk about.
I know. Well, 2 more, actually.
Oh, yeah, 2 more matches to talk about. This past weekend, Bound for Glory happened. And I think the women's division in Impact Wrestling is pretty good. Maybe second par behind WWE. Well, their championship match kind of got a wrench thrown in when one of the talent decided, like, for whatever reason, not to show up or.
Does she sound familiar?
Kylie Ray. Look, I understand you might have a little bit going on in the mental health category, and I that's nothing to take lightly. But this is twice now. But anyway, that's not what my point was. They were able to bring another female who is over in that company, and she actually ended up winning the title, Su Yung. made her appearance to her creepy, almost Abaddon-like self. And that's another one. Well, she might not be in AEW for much longer. I don't know, depending on how severe her injury was. She ended up winning the title over Deonna Purrazzo. So, then that was a last minute thing. That wasn't planned. That was, there was a no-show. What are we going to do? And they still put something together. They made it work. They put something together. They put Jordynne Grace in a match. They're using their women in ways that are just outside of
tradition.
The valet, the Penelope Fords, which I'm cool with that. That has its place, but we need to see the action that the women can provide, because I mean, women's wrestling is good, and I don't know, it's just kind of funny for like a company that prides itself so much in like equality and being a progressive company. Like, where's your women's division, and where is the fruit to that talk? Why are you backing up what you want to say? And it seems like you're just giving the same 2 or 3 females at this point, women's wrestlers, their opportunity, while the rest kind of sit and wonder what's going to happen. And
pretty much,
it's not fun.
It's saddening,
because I love women's wrestling. I think, like I said, the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, the only match I really cared about was Sasha Banks versus Bayley. So I love women's wrestling, and it sucks seeing a company that, I mean, we talk about them every week, and they're just not living up to our expectations in that division. Let's get going to the end of this.
All I gotta say is #give AEW Women's Division a chance.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Get that thing trending, man. Get that thing trending. We get to Shawn Spears destroying a guy named VSK. I don't know what the initials stand for. He was on Dark. Lost there too. Scorpio Sky appears. I believe they're going to have a match of Full Gear. Not much you're missing there as far as that match goes. Then we get to the main event. Penta El Zero Miedo. I like the fact that they called him Penta El Zero M. Justin Roberts would just say Penta El Zero. We finally know what the M stood for. It was, Zero Miedo. Versus Kenny Omega in the semifinals for the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament. Winner of this faces Hangman Page at Full Gear. One of the more impressive, great main event matches for Dynamite in probably this year. Definitely, maybe Dynamite's history, in the short 1 year history of Dynamite. Probably top 5, top 10, maybe top 7 best main event matches on the show. Fantastic match, great match. Kenny's slowly starting to become this heel persona we're expecting him to be. Penta showed up and had a great match tonight, that night, and in the end, Kenny won. I don't think there's any shocker that we saw this coming. That it was Kenny versus Hangman at Full Gear in this tournament finals. But here we are. Great match to end the show. Yeah. Not much more else to say about that. Just we had spent so much on Women's Day.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of burned out. But anyways, yeah. Good way to end the show.
So, for as bad as that kind of the women's thing kind of made you feel, the Shawn Spears, again, it's great to see him on the show again. Shawn Spears, to me, this kind of upsets me a little bit as well. It's like and I think they even mentioned it on commentary, that he has like the best win percentage in the entire company this year, but he gets no title opportunities. He gets not even a TNT title shot, no claim into the world title. And it's like they push him to a point, and then they back away from him, and then they push him, and then they relegate him back to Dark. And I think Shawn Spears is probably one of their better, maybe most underrated talents on that company. And I think that match with Scorpio Sky will be a pretty good match. That's at Full Gear, I believe, too, correct?
Should be either that or on the buy-in, but either way,
right.
I think it's going to be one of the more underrated matches on that card.
On that card, right. And then Kenny, he just puts on good matches. He just puts on good matches. I don't care who it is, who it's against. And then yeah, we're not shocked that he's fighting Hangman. And I thought it was funny, and I think this is also part of the storytelling here, that Hangman starts the show and Kenny ends the show, because he's Omega, which means end in whatever language that is. Hebrew, Greek. Omega is like the last letter of the alphabet, so he ends the show because he's the Omega. I don't know. That's just something I thought. Because I didn't watch it live, I watched it today. I came up with 6 things on the Twitter page, and I tweeted this six thoughts that I had in this for this show. Hangman's ready to lead this company. I truly do believe that. MJF is the best ever, the best talker that I've seen in a while. Outside of Wyatt was on the card, the Layla Hirsch versus Serena Deeb match was an excellent match. I said, did anyone else know Nyla Rose was #1 contender? 'Cause I sure as hell didn't. Number 5, I love seeing Eric Bischoff on TV again. And number 6, Kenny Omega. That's all I gotta say. He's just the best in the world. I don't care what anybody says. He is the best in the world. And his intro, Justin Roberts, just goes about like Bleacher Report says this, and Wrestle Joyce says this, and everybody says this.
Sports Illustrated,
and
ESPN.
I guess he has a best friend that lives in North Carolina, so I'm trying to figure out who that is. I think it's one of us.
It's definitely gotta be one of us.
But yeah, no, Kenny Omega is good. I think
great.
He's fantastic. He's as Justin Roberts said, WrestleJoy called him a genius, and he is a genius. His in-ring work, his heel work, he's just so good, and everybody like they see what he's done in AEW up to this point, and they forget the fact that he has years and years of tape that you can watch anywhere, YouTube, New Japan Pro Wrestling, World, anywhere, and you can see his talent, and he's just so great. And if you hate him, there's really no point to at this point. Like, you're just a hater because it's cool to hate Kenny Omega.
Yep.
And I love him. He's in my opinion, the best. When he has a storyline that he's truly, fully invested in, and it's his time to shine, he is the best in the world. And that's just facts. And the one tiny thing that I didn't like about the match was they showed the Triple A title that he has. I'm just not a big fan of promoting other companies' titles.
Other companies' titles on that show got more exposure than the AEW Women's title did. So
yeah. Anyway, we've been talking for a while. So
yeah, we're getting ready to close the show here, guys. First of all, I just wanted to brag, I guess is a good word to put it. Thunder Rosa follows me on Twitter.
Oh. Wow.
And that's the actual Thunder Rosa right there, ladies and gents, right there. I don't know if you can actually see it.
Why don't you follow her back?
Oh, I did. I just wanted to show it that she that was pretty cool.
Gotcha.
But anyways, yeah. So interesting show, just overall crazy. I ran a poll last night because I thought we were going to be recording a little bit, but we didn't. So I ran a poll last night. Who did you guys think won this edition of the Wednesday Night Wars, Halloween Havoc edition of NXT, or Dynamite? Actually, 55% of you guys said Dynamite, 45% said NXT. The ratings war, NXT did win. I kind of expected that just because, which is fine. Hey, I probably was going to watch NXT because of the Halloween Havoc thing, because I'm a WCW mark, and I didn't, but I did record it, so I'll have to watch that here shortly. So, so as we get to the hour portion of this live stream, guys, I want to thank you all for tuning in if you did. I want to appreciate you guys for following us and taking the time to listen to us here tonight. Late live stream, maybe if we do this again, it will be a little bit earlier, so more people can jump on in and tune in. Let us know how we did. Did you guys enjoy the stream? Did it sound good? Did the visuals look cool? Keep you a little bit entertained here. Kept you up to date. What did you like? What didn't you like? Did you like Dynamite? If not, why? all that good stuff. So follow this man's page on Twitter. He just recently updated his information. It's no longer the Taking the Bump podcast. It's
the Buffalo James Wrestling Podcast, combining, I guess, my persona. My online persona,
Buffalo James,
and just expanding it to wrestling. So,
not an idea.
It's the tagline is still, let's take the bump, but we're changing the name. You can follow the page. I'm 5 followers away from 500.
Come on, boys and girls, 5 away. Let's get this man up there.
And don't take this out of context, BJW Podcast. BJW Podcast on Twitter and on Facebook at BJW Podcast. And very shortly, we're going to get back on and doing some new content. Anchor is weird. When you delete your one account, you have to wait 10 days until you can create a new account. So I gotta wait for all of that stuff to process, and
that's why I just had an old one and just switched over the name and information to the new one. Just so that way it's a lot easier to do.
But yeah, so I didn't do that. I was an idiot, and so I have to wait.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. That happens.
But yeah, and while I'm here, I have a T-shirt, but it's not on Pro Wrestling Tees because they don't allow you to change any information, and I'm not paying $75 again for a new.
Nope.
Yeah, so I'm partnering with or using Teespring to create a shirt. So far, the design is the combination of both of my podcast logos together. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and their slogan is "Circle the Wagons." My podcast slogan for the wrestling is "Take the Bump." So you can get the logo T-shirts on Teespring, teespring.com/stores / hold on, let me, I believe it's Buffalo James brand. I have to double verify that. It's on my Twitter page. If you just click the link there in the bio, you can get directed straight to it. So yeah, buy the shirt, support both of my podcasts, and yeah, same thing applies. 20% of your purchase will go to a charity of your choice. And on to you, sir.
Appreciate that. Don't have to do too much plugging here. As you can see, we've got all the visuals on here for our social media. Facebook, haven't used a whole lot, but we're trying to get that back up and going. So please follow us there on Facebook, Beyond the Curtain Podcast. Of course, you can follow us at Twitter at BTCPod18. 25 followers away from 1,200, guys. Let's make it happen. Promise you guys that once we get to 2,000, it's going to be a major giveaway. I may do a smaller giveaway for 1,500. So, hey, why not? I do have a football podcast. It's a little bit different than this one, but hey, we're still trying to grow that one. It is at FOPod2020. I've already got 212 followers on that one, so if we can just kind of upgrade that a little bit more, that'd be great. We both record an episode. Usually it's on Fridays, but because of the whole COVID thing and games getting postponed at the last second, we've kind of pushed that back to either Saturday night or on game days on Sundays. So we totally missed the Thursday night games, but that's okay. Do our previews and predictions. If our team won or lost the previous week, we mention that as well. So be sure to follow me there at FOPod2020. But as for here, the Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast, I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight and for hearing us rant and rave about this. Once again, hashtag give AEW Women's Division a chance. Also, for anybody that does logos out there, if you guys see my wrestling logo on Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast, it's kind of cool. It's on my merchandise as well, which you can do at ProWrestlingTees.com/Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. Like he mentioned, any purchase of yours, 20% of your proceeds will go towards a charity of your choosing, in which I would do that in 1 week's time. And if I don't do it, your purchase gets refunded, and you basically got a shirt for free. If anybody's good at doing logos, I'd like to see, if it's not a copyright issue or trademark issue, if you can get that wrestling logo to the font of the Washington football team, that'd be kind of cool. Just to kind of collaborate a little bit with my football podcast and that one. Might be copyright or trademark infringement or something like that. So I can understand why we couldn't do it. But hey, do it until we get caught, right? Maybe that shouldn't be a great thing to say, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Anyways, let us know how we did on this, guys. We may do this every week instead of the recorded episodes and put it on YouTube. So this would be fun to get more people involved, more people to watch product, and just get more people involved. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys for tuning in this week. We shall see you guys next week. We will go over the AEW recap of next week as well as preview Full Gear, so be on the lookout for that. Until then, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening, and I hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy out there. Be vigilant, be safe, be smart. We'll see you guys next week. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening. Take care, guys.